An album a day is my exploration into the Korean music scene. This podcast will cover mainstream, indie, and some underground artists within the scene and provide both factual and opinionated commentary. The biggest benefit to sharing my thoughts this way is that it will hopefully expose you to more great music and exploration of your own. Well, hello there. I've been gone for a while, but for good reason. I had a new job I had to get acclimated to. So now that lovely work is done, I was wondering if you were aware of this group called Shinhwa. I'm sure you might have heard the name, the longest running boy band in the history of K-pop. Did you know there's a group that ran just a few months longer than them and is still going strong? Yeah, we're going to talk about them. I hope you enjoy this very, very interesting path that I knew nothing about until we started today's episode, and that it entertains you as much as it's entertaining me. So let's get started.
You're tuned into an album a day. Show start.
Hey, how you doing? All right, so like I said, I mentioned Shinhwa, but this is not about the former SM Entertainment group that now stands on its own two legs. No. This is about a whole nother group of gentlemen. But I had I choked myself up. I get rusty the more time I take away from this and whatnot. But we getting it together. Like I'm doing what I can with the schedule that I have. It's butt crack early in the morning as usual, aka butt crack late, because it's in the 12:30 to 1:30 period in time. But like, hey, we got a show to run. We have a podcast to grow. We have a community to support. We have people to educate. So with that being said, you gotta I sound this way because I went to watch the Royal Rumble, like WWE. So I'm a little out here. Let me get a swig of water. Just hold on. Okay. Y'all have definitely experienced worse with me. And I love you so much for your support. So, like I was trying to say, I referenced the other 20 plus, help me God, the other 20 plus years in group because this group is in the same pocket, totally is. Four Men is a R&B group. However, they're not necessarily what you would call an idol act, which is probably why they don't get the same acknowledgement on the same scale as Shinhwa does. But they nonetheless still make content, still exist. The group consists of two members currently, Shin Young Jae and Kim Won Ju, but the group had four members. So it used to be Yoon Min Soo, Jong Se Young, Han Hyun Hee, and Lee Jong Ho. And they released their debut album, Four Men First Album, that is the whole name, on February 1st, 1998. Shinhwa didn't drop until March 24th, 1998. So they got them by a nugget of time. Do you hear me? They have them by a matter of weeks in terms of historical content. And it's something rich about that, just getting trickled down into the archives of history. And I understand the significance that's heavily promoted when it comes to Shinhwa is the fact that the original lineup is still the lineup. But this doesn't take away from the fact that this is a 20 plus year in R&B group, and that's impressive. It really is. So 2 years later, they released their second album. Their second? Wow, help me. Like second. Second. So that was in 2000. Then they had some members withdraw from the group in 2001, and then had some membership lineup changes, blah, 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 in 2006. Then in 2008, they had an interesting shift in time, and there was most certainly an album that takes place after that. So I don't want to give away all of that. I just want us to go step by step. So we're looking at Four Men First album. Again, February 1st, 1998. This was released on Kingpin Entertainment, and I don't know if it's pronounced Pisson Contents or Pison Contents. It's spelled P as in Paul, I as in ice cream, S as in Sam, O, N as in Nancy. I don't know if it's Pison, Pisson. I know the name is a little suspect in terms of it being possibly Pisson, piss on. Like, come on now. But this is Korea with their lovely English. And Kingpin Entertainment, like you're really borderlining the terminology of like death row entertainment and whatnot. Not the same type of music, but most certainly in the R&B pocket all the way. In it, deep within it, like stupid far up in there. There are tracks on this previously formatted cassette. Like, I'm throwing my head back. The original album was on a cassette. Like, oh man, life. It was also on CD too, but just the fact that there was still tapes around. And I feel like I referenced at some point on a past episode how I went into Urban Outfitters here in Houston, Texas, and I saw a retro tape recorder and a tape deck, and I'm just like, oh my god! Like, just go ahead and bring the 8 track back. Like, make one of my great uncles feel superior because he still got all that stuff. But you've got a debut album with 9 tracks on it. Goodbye, Love Me More Than I Am, You Only for Me, Return, First Love, Her Promise, Always Wait for Me, and I Left You Again. And it straight up sounds like, oh, just a plethora of folks from back in the day. Um we have, oh man, there's just so many black R&B male groups that just escaped my whole mind. Whoever that was is saying, I gotta be the one you love, 'cause I will always love you so. And I know that's a part of the first chorus and the second chorus shoved together. I just, I can't remember the name, but it's definitely a song like that. There's a song on here that, this is what happens when you don't take notes. The second track, is it the second track? What is it? Love Me More Than I Am sounds completely like a track that I've heard somewhere else, and I am failing you all because I cannot remember the name of the American song. No, we're just going, you wait a moment. I'm a check. Hold on. Yes, I most certainly did pause this show right quick so I could go double check because I wanted to be right and I was embarrassed about how wrong I am. So the second track on the album is called Love Me More Than I Am, and it is literally as yet last night. It totally is. The melody, the way that the chorus and the verses are structured and everything, it's completely that. So what they were doing, which because they certainly believe, and when I say they, I'm talking about the Korean entertainment industry, believes that a lot of emulation, I don't want to use the word copy, so a lot of emulation of what's working in the West, they'll go with it. So, and then they also think that nobody's going to pay attention to it. But boy, oh boy, this is the same song. It's totally the same song. I could literally sing the lyrics to Last Night on that track in a lower range, a lower register, and it completely works. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that, they don't have a level of finesse. They do the quintessential R&B thing of talking in English first before the song kicks off on a couple of them. With the husky voice and everything to just really drive home how much you are emotionally tearing me into bits and pieces because I love you, girl, I love you, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely a late 90s R&B. I'm holding you from behind, hugging you close, sniffing whatever perfume you got on, you know, just trying to make you feel magical because I love you, girl. Now touch my face. It's definitely dated. I'll give you that. It sounds just like it's done in the late 90s, but there's some longevity in that because a lot of what artists are trying to get back to now here in 2020 and just the most recent years that have passed, there was something about the vibe in the 90s, the music that was made during that time that's just, man, it's hard to try to capture again. There's some great attempts being made, but there's also some struggles out there as well. So, even though it sounds dated, it still works. Perhaps if somebody got their hands on it and went back and refined the way that the production is and everything on it, just do some, technological enhancements to the sound, refine the quality of it, then perhaps it'll work a little bit better. Nonetheless, K-pop fans, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being essential listening and 1 not worth mentioning, the A3Day rating on this debut album is a 5. It's really, really good. It's really good, even if it's not necessarily authentic to what they could bring to the table, but they clearly understand R&B. They clearly understand how to personify soul. So I'm interested to see how this goes. And the discography it's long. It's a long discography. There's a lot. We're looking at over 20 years of music from one group of people. So there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack, and there's also not a lot of historical things to tell you about them individually, with the exception of maybe one member. And we'll get into that on the next episode. But yeah, this is worth it, and it's not hard to find the full album on YouTube if you really want to go look for it. So there you have it. I'll catch you in the next show. Bye, y'all.
Your favorite foreign Korean music historian exploring all the industry from A to Z.
There's sponsored ads and social media hashtags, but this show is truly supported by the efforts of my Migualas, the most amazing fan base a little entertainer could ever have. Special shout out to my Patreon patrons, the student body, and the scholars who keep my vision of becoming your favorite Korean music historian exploring all the industry from A to Z a real thing. If you're interested in supporting the growth of this podcast and supporting content, please visit patreon.com/multifacetedacg. And for as little as $1 a month, you can get in on the magic too. Interested in continuing your support at the free $99 price? I love you for it. You can still engage with the show when you retweet, repost, and share the show and use hashtag A3 and the word DAY. You can also tag MULTIFACETEDACG to get my attention. And if you're listening to this podcast on a platform other than Anchor.fm, please leave a few stars or a review to keep things growing in the right direction.